being heard. Remember, early this month, the Supreme Court upheld a July appeals court ruling that lifted suspension on a finance law. Maybe we could just listen into that slightly, then we shall come back to our conversation.
And you are told under Article 220, Clause 1, Paragraph A, that the budget has two components. It has got revenue and it has expenditure. So if the Appropriations Act only has expenditure, where are the revenues in law? Why are there no revenues in law? And what happened to the revenue, the document titled Revenue Estimate of Revenues, although it was not in the format that the law prescribes, what happened to that document? Why was it hidden from the public? Why was it not subjected to public participation? And under Article 221, there's a clear requirement in Clause 3 and Clause 4 and 5 that the National Assembly will consider both of the estimates and both will be subjected to public participation. If you read the report of the committee, the estimates of revenue disappeared. And I will explain why later that has been done. So, my lord, the absence of the revenue estimate makes the budget incomplete. It does not conform to Article 220, Clause 1, Paragraph A. And an incomplete budget is no budget. So, as we speak, the national government failed and Parliament failed to enact a budget. There's no budget that's running this country. My lord, I also want to show you that the Appropriations Act must be submitted to the Senate. And the reasons are found in the Constitution. If you look at Article 204, Clause 3, Paragraph A, it says that the national government may use the equalization fund only to the extent that the expenditure of those funds has been approved in an appropriation bill enacted by Parliament, not by the National Assembly. And when you look at Article 221, my lord, at Paragraph 2, at the Clause 2A, it clearly states that this estimates of the equalization fund are part of the estimates submitted to Parliament. So, Article 221, to have done that. Article 223, Clauses 2, 3, and 5 also underscore the fact that the Appropriation Act bill must be enacted by both the Senate and the National Assembly. And in fact, Article 223 is so good because it refers in some paragraphs to Parliament, in some paragraphs to the National Assembly, clearly distinguishing what the National Assembly can do and what is expected of the entire House to do. And so I'm saying that because the Appropriation Act was not submitted to the Senate, that act is null and void, other than being also void for not containing estimates of revenue, which should be to which the expenditure should be included. My lords, we have also highlighted the fact that there are very clear cases of budgeted corruption in the estimates of the current expenditure that has been given, and those are highlighted out. And those recurrent and those the budgeted corruption, including that involving domestic debts, goes to more than 1 trillion shillings, which, if removed, we don't have to have this punitive taxation that the Kenyans are being subjected to. We have highlighted those things in our submissions. Finally, I will submit that the finance bill, as presented to the National Assembly, as published by the National Assembly, was a bill concerning county governments that ought to have been taken to the Senate, but was not, and that voids the finance bill ab initio in its entirety. Also, the fact that it is anchored onto provisions, onto onto the Budget Estimates and Appropriation Act, which themselves violated the Constitution, then it's also void ab initio. So, my lords, with those few remarks, I plead with the court. Just very close, I want to point out what was not mentioned about the housing levy. The housing levy has been applied in a blanket manner without exempting judges and officials of the Chapter 15 entities from the levy. Yet the Constitution says their salaries cannot be interfered with during their stay in office. So that particular issue should also be taken on alongside with other provisions.
That is Busia Senator Okia Omutata as he prosecutes his case. Member is one of the petitioners against the Finance Act 2023. We continue to follow up on that developing story. We shall be bringing you the very latest in a subsequent news bulletin. But now let's get